The easiest way for people to understand what Tantra really is through the lens of yoga, because yoga actually is a tantric practice. We've just forgotten this. And so the same concepts of yoga, that being in touch with your body can awaken a level of presence and consciousness within you that can literally change everything. And that using your breath, using energy, using certain things in yoga, asana or mantra or meditation can activate different parts of your psyche and different parts of your brain and let you recognize truth within. So you stop getting hung up on the bullshit and the conditioning and the stuff that's not true, that doesn't serve you, and you wake up to a rich inner truth. What's unique about Tantra is that it doesn't have the same kind of moralistic sex is good or bad, or hedonism is good or bad, or, you know, dancing good or bad. It's like whatever serves you. Like it's more about cause and effect. So do what brings you closer to truth, what makes you feel more love, what makes you feel more bliss, what makes you feel more connected to the divine. And so as many of us know, dance will do that for us. Amazing connected sex will do that for us. Passionate, like ecstasy in nature will do that for us. And so Tantra says, use whatever tools you need to access that connection within and to know your deeper, truer self. And it's a series of tools and practices just like yoga. Animals who are primal and wild and untamed in certain ways are very connected to a natural sense of safety. Animals don't go doing stupid shit. Like they watch out for themselves. They're in tune with what's appropriate in their environment. And they spend time doing that. They're just not deeply repressed. And so what's happened to us is we've become deeply, deeply repressed, but getting in touch with our primal nature doesn't mean that we don't still have an instinctual knowledge that like, oh, this empty parking lot late at night, not an appropriate place to like do my wild breast massage or whatever. Of course not. Like we actually get sharper and more in tune with what's appropriate and what's safe. We just do so from a place of empowerment rather than a place of fear. What is still holding these pillars that make it so hard to have this conversation that's so important for health and happiness? And I was like, it's shame. And I was like, what gets rid of shame? Like I could go and talk about it in an abstract way, like, oh, let's not be ashamed of STDs, or let's not be ashamed if you had an abortion, or let's not be ashamed if you know, were sexually abused. But I was like, the real thing that takes away shame is having someone that you know and trust in one way or another talk about it and say like, I'm not ashamed. Like I had an abortion. I'm not ashamed. I had HPV and I'm not ashamed. I had, you know, I was sexually abused and I'm not ashamed. And like how powerful that is, because it really more than any other thing, I feel like it takes that off. And I felt like if I truly stand for making this kind of transformation for people, then I also stand for, you know, owning that I am not ashamed. And, you know, if there is shame or fear, I'm going to totally get rid of it by posting this YouTube video.
Was it scary?
It was. So there's certain topics that I know are going to be scarier, like abortion is one that I'm going to talk about, because so many women are so ashamed of having an abortion. And it's like, why? That's crazy. It's a medical procedure. And like, we've all been there. So there's no, you know, regardless of what your feelings are about it or whether it was an emotional experience, there's no reason to feel shame. The same with being sexually abused or having been raped. And I know that like putting those things out there, especially in the YouTube world, like are, you know, I do feel a little bit of fear or a little bit of hesitation, but it's such an amazing feeling to feel people like resonate and transform like, from the message. And it's got to start somewhere.
Yes. And thank you for starting it. Oh, it's such an important conversation, and one that, you know, I'm finding is happening more and more in small communities. And I love that now we're just like, let's just take the blanket off completely, or, you know, move the curtain, or whatever analogy you want to use, because everyone's there. Everyone's been there. We all have our stuff. And the more we realize that every single person feels the same way about the same thing, the more we're like, all right, can we all just move on now and have really awesome epic sex?
Totally.